The Boston Celtics select James Young from the University of Kentucky.
James Young, born August 16, 1995. Today's feature is a sweet shooting lefty that's been a star at every level of his basketball journey, except the one that has us talking today. An all-everything in high school, early offer and commitment to the hottest program in college basketball at the time, to leading his team to a national finals in college and becoming a one-and-done player. Everything was on schedule up to this point for Young until they weren't, and he was out of the league after his rookie deal. His story of continuous growth and taking advantage of opportunity can be an important lesson on how far your natural talent can take you, blended with bad timing, difference in levels, and circumstance to teach you just how hard it really is to not only make it, but be one of the best at what you do at that level. Once you become the CEO of a company, it doesn't matter what you did while working in the mailroom. Once you become a professional boxer, those days you spent fighting as an amateur are long gone and insignificant. Once you step onto the court with the best in the world, the only thing that matters is what you do there. How bad do you want to compete? How much free time is spent getting better? Diet, game type, and how well you fit into a team's concept, whether it changes with coaching or not. In my opinion, James Young wasn't a good fit in the NBA at the time of his entrance, and here's why. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Ash, get it, man.
I can't defend that one because I really thought James Young was going to be good. He was like 19, 38 minutes in the championship game in March, and I was like, they got to steal.
James Young is a 6'6" shooting guard from Flint, Michigan, and starred for Rochester High School. Many favored his game style for how effortless and smooth it looked, and how developed aspects of his game was at such a young age. Things like shooting, IQ as a scorer, and big game poise. Also because he was putting up insane numbers in high school, like 27 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 assists. A 5-star recruit in a class that came with a lot of hype, top 8 in the nation ranking, and McDonald's All-American. Stunt number 1, a dog versus buckets. There's two types I see when envisioning wing players, especially if I were investing in one to help my franchise. Is he a dog or a guy that gets buckets if he gets going? Neither one is superior than the other, and some even possess both. It all really depends on the fit within my franchise. What's a dog? A guy that takes on any challenge, high-motored, and competes every second he's on the floor, is aggressive in his movements and wants to dominate, and he's fearless. Preferred personality for this type of player? A guy that's sensitive, came from tough circumstances on or off the floor, has a chip on his shoulder from being slighted in life, competes literally at anything and everything, and not only wants to beat you, but to embarrass you to where no one compares you to again. Versus a bucket getter. That's a guy referred to that has a smooth approach to beating you. A mental chess player that studies his opponents and creates a strategy to beat them, making everything look effortless. His personality usually comes from always being the best in his environment because of advanced physical tools, or a student of the game with a pedigree that's faced many different situations. Jay Crowder is a dog. Russell Westbrook, Patrick Beverly, Kawhi Leonard, Marcus Smart, Kenyon Martin, MJ, Reggie, Isaiah, those are dogs. Devin Booker, Steph Curry, KD, Kyrie, Harden, Bradley Beal, Ray Allen, they get buckets. Either can be deadly, like I said, but how they fit into a system makes all the difference. Some have both. Dame, Clay, Luka, LeBron when he wants to, D-Wade, Melo, and Paul Pierce. James Young is a guy that simply got buckets. In this case, circumstances hurt him being drafted into a team and franchise that's built on dog mentality and wanted that type player on the wing in James's time there. With the dogs they already had on the roster, along with some that would come in James's span, it was hard for a nonchalant personality like him to get minutes as a wing that pretty much only adds scoring, while those guys played on both ends. This would be all fine if Young possessed either size or elite scoring advantage that made him undeniable and changed the culture to fit him. At the time, he didn't. Reminds me a lot of a guy going through what James did right now, Romeo Langford. At levels where everything was about him, he shined with that get buckets, smooth, low tension mentality. But now that everyone matches his talents, he's struggling to hang on. For James Young to have had success or make it back to the league, his mentality, aggression, and motor has to improve. Stunt number 2, additions. Sadly, for players like Young that fit the mold of yes, good size, but not good motor, it's tough to survive when you don't add more than score the basketball. At 6'6" and not muscular build, along with low aggression and assertiveness, you almost always will face a crossroads in the league because so many teams are looking for the exact opposite of that guy right now. A guy that can guard on both ends and isn't afraid of the challenges verbally or physically is ideal. At 6'6" and simply a scorer that doesn't explode more often than not, you're almost always going to be a possible moving piece to a team. Take a guy like Marcus Smart that is undersized but plays shooting guard and small forward at times. He doesn't explode as a scorer often, but on the other end, you can literally put him on a center and he'd foul out or get ejected before he let you score on him twice in a row. He also facilitates the offense very well, knowing when to shoot and when to do small things like set a great screen or take a timely charge. He also knows when to use the game against itself, which is unflattering but shows high levels of IQ. He managed to stay on the Celtics his entire career, which is hard for any player in today's game. Young has to add something else to his game and not only be called on to score. There's too many guys more naturally gifted than he is at that, and every team has at least 2 nowadays. If he wants to be a 15th man on the roster or journeyman, then sure, don't learn how to assist or rebound, dive for loose balls, or take and make timely shots. Bruce Brown is a great example. Is he better than James Young? No way. But he does a lot more than James does, which fits him into multiple systems. Stunt number 3, being out the game. Leaving the NBA for any reason can be detrimental for a player, especially a young one that had multiple chances at different teams and systems. The game moves so fast that your spot on a team is never really carved out and in its place. Being out for multiple seasons as Young has, not playing in the league since 2017-18, where he only played 6 games, is probably as far as you can start in your reroute back. He's only 25 years old to regular people, but that number is looked at a lot differently when you take into account what he's been through. He was a top 10 recruit leaving high school, the leading scorer on the biggest name program that made it to the championship game, and a first-round draft pick by a franchise as prestigious as the Celtics. A lot of expectations come with that, along with a lot of scrutiny. It also means you'll more than likely have played in big games where you're met with every team's and player's best efforts, which only makes you better. If you show you can survive in that, it's tough for other teams to view you as they did when you entered, full of potential. That potential is the league. The longer he's out, the harder it'll be to get back. While he's out, his growth is being stunted. All in all, many have requested a James Young feature, so he does have the talent people believe in, at least at one point. But does he have that dog, the motor, the skills to compete at the level he was once expected to? It'll be tough to say the least, but once again,
anything's possible. Anything's possible!
It's your boy JC Stuntedgrowth, and I'm out.